We are back live at your Bolo Punch Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Rogie Insurance, www.bolopunchboxinghour.com. Streaming to you live, as always, on Ustream.tv. What'd you guys think of that interview? Jesus Chavez, class act all the way. You can't meet a nicer guy. You can't meet a nicer guy.
No, and he actually summed up the interview pretty well for us at the end there.
He sure did. Honestly, I was gonna have him on for a second segment, and he flew right through. My knees are okay, my shoulders okay, and I'm ready to go. It's like, yeah, all right, man.
It's almost like he didn't want to talk about his injuries anymore for sure, because he must have flew that boat already, and
he's been talking about injuries and losses for the last 2 years. It's time for him to get a win. I'm not sure, and I'll go on the record saying I'm not sure that David Diaz is the man that he can get a win over. I know it's going to be all action, and I know that Jesus Chavez always comes to fight, and I know David Diaz is in your face and moves forward only.
And if you're looking for an upset, it's definitely going to be a guy that knows the other guy's style better than anybody.
A guy who fought right alongside him in the amateurs, long time ago. I mean, people say that doesn't mean anything. Ask the late, great Vernon Forrest if that means anything. He has 2 wins over Shane Mosley when no one had even really hurt Mosley before.
Yeah.
I mean, man, he had even beaten Oscar at that point. That was an outstanding time.
And every time we talk to a fighter, they say styles make fights. I mean, Chavez said the same. We just talked to him. He said the same thing. Styles make fights.
Gotta love that stuff.
I mean, and if you look at when he fought Eric Morales, I kind of brought that up because they had a common opponent.
Good call.
And
that's why I keep you around.
And obviously, Morales was much younger in that day.
I thought it was interesting how you asked him, how come you lost but he won? Like, but hey, that's sort of Babinski's style.
I wanted him to give his reasoning behind.
How come you didn't win? and the guy that you're fighting did.
He's gonna go to Bernie and tell him that the Babinski guy, he's a douchebag.
Hey, Guzman guy's okay, but the Polak, I'm not talking to that fool anymore. All right, well, I spent a good amount of time this afternoon speaking with my good friend Scott Burt, who is the CEO and president of the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame every time I say Boxing Hall of Fame and I just slur those words on out, I'm used to saying Canastota, New York. But in this case, I'm talking about the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame of Belfast, New York, which is about 3 hours east, sort of southeast of Canastota. Myself, Mrs. Guzman, Jimmy Holmes, and Timmy Patterson. The 4 of us are going to be heading on down there in a couple of weeks. That week, there will be no Bolo Punch on Thursday night, but there will be one the following night on Friday. So we'll have a very special Friday night Bolo Punch Boxing Hour from the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame grounds. Hopefully we get a few of our friends, including Pete the Heat Perry, making the drive over there. If he'll go to Canastota, I'm sure he could make it a 2-hour drive and make it over to Belfast. I think that'd be a good time. And maybe Judy from Connecticut and her husband Jim. Let's see who can get there. And for those of you that have been in a cave, I was named the official artist for the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. So tonight's Golden Leaf fighter, you should know, Tom Molineaux, is a man that I'm going to be painting here in the next couple of days because he belongs on this painting because he is one of the inaugural inductees.
It was very interesting how they're going to start off. I mean,
they're put in 10 individuals on the first year.
And now, it's a little different than a regular Hall of Fame where every year there's more people that could possibly make the Hall of Fame.
Well, the International Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota, they had like 25 guys their first year because they wanted to get all the absolute quintessential fighters. Ali was put in the first year. I believe Frazier was put in the first year. Sugar Ray Robinson, John L. Sullivan, Emil Griffith. The giant names. Carlos Ortiz, I believe, was in that first year.
And they could even put in more than that, but they decided.
Archie Moore, Jersey Joe Walcott, big name. Wait. Maybe Archie Moore didn't go in the first year. I don't know. Yeah, he did. Anyway.
But the idea is there's always going to be more guys that retire every year, but they're not going to be more guys that are fighting bare knuckle.
Well, good friend of ours, Don Scott, the owner of BCN, Boxing Collectors News, wrote a little snippet about the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. He said, "This is the only Hall of Fame induction ceremony where none of the inductees are guaranteed to appear. They will not be there. They will not be signing autographs. They will not be like that. There'll be plenty of boxing dignitaries signing autographs, but none of the inductees will be because they've been dead for over 100 years." Tonight's Golden Leaf Fighter, you should know, International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee and Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame inductee Tom Molineaux. Tom Molineaux was born a slave but fought his way to freedom and ultimately a shot at the heavyweight title. He began boxing other slaves while plantation owners wagered on the bouts. Finally, after defeating a slave from a rival plantation, he was given his freedom and $500. He traveled to New York, and then in 1809 he left for England and began boxing. Molineaux was trained by Bill Richmond, another freed American slave, who became a notable prizefighter in England. Molineaux won 2 bouts in England, and the ease with which he won quickly lined him up for a title shot against British heavyweight champion Tom Cribb. In December of 1810, Molineaux challenged Cribb in a classic encounter. After some 39 rounds of give and take, Molineaux finally collapsed from exhaustion. The great Pierce Egan, who described the American as the tremendous man of color, wrote of the contest, "Molineaux proved himself as courageous a man as ever an adversary contended with. He astonished everyone, not only by his extraordinary power of hitting and his gigantic strength, but also by his acquaintance with the science, which was far greater than any had given him credit for." The rematch on September 28, 1811 was equally as exciting, but this time Cribb had an easier time retaining his title with an 11th round knockout. In 1814, he defeated William Fuller in a 2-round fight that lasted over an hour. Egan was so impressed by the intense action and stamina of the combatants that he wrote the fight was, quote-unquote, without parallel. The 2 Cribb fights made Molineaux a celebrity in England, but he fought only sporadically, opting to engage in numerous sparring exhibitions. In 1818, he passed away in Dublin, Ireland. Born March 23, 1784, died August 4th, 1818. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame of Canastota, New York in the year 1997, and he will be inducted into the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame of Belfast, New York in 2009. Tonight's Golden Leaf Fighter, you should know, multi-museum Hall of Famer Tom Molineaux.
It's kind of interesting you don't have the knockouts, you don't have the official record like you do.
It's very difficult to come up with a record with a guy that fought in the 1800s.
And
especially in the in the 1700s,
before they had paper.
17 and 18.
They chiseled it in stone.
I'm gonna smack this dude. I'm gonna smack him because he said they didn't have paper. That's funny. Yes, but they had paper.
They obviously they didn't keep records back then though.
Not as easly as this.
And a lot of these exhibition fights that they were saying or training bouts actually could have been more realistic bouts, you know. They could have been actual fights, you know.
Yes.
It's hard to tell if they were sanctioned by obviously.
I'm going to take this from you before you kill it. He made a good point. He just had a hard time saying it. The point was, yes, not all of his exhibition fights were considered actual real sanctioned fights for a record. If they were an exhibition, they were an exhibition. If not, I mean, I don't know what his record is, and I'm not sure anyone does, because if Canastota doesn't know, probably isn't out there. Probably isn't out there.
Yeah, there was no sanctioning body or anything like that. It's
no,
kind of the point I was trying
to make.
That's
exactly what you had said, too, except you didn't say it like that.
I had to take a breath.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and take the final break of our night, which is actually where we stop for an entire week. And we will come back next week with lots more to talk about. We'll be talking about Vitaly Klitschko against Chris Arreola, against Jesus Chavez. Of course, the Jesus Chavez fight against Dangerous David Diaz. That's going to be at the UIC Pavilion.
No official announcements for interviews next week?
No official announcement on interview. No, I don't want to do that. Maybe it'll be Jonathan Banks. Who knows?
Maybe it'll be Dundee Oktoberfest.
Maybe it'll be Dundee Oktoberfest. I thought we could make it through one night without talking about the beer we were drinking. We got it all the way to Tim already had the music playing. Oh, man. All right. Special thanks to Jesus Chavez, our special guest over the telephone tonight. Like I said, fighting David Diaz tomorrow on Saturday night at UIC Pavilion. Call Ticketmaster for the exact address and for ticket information. For Emil Sutter Babitsky.